Good afternoon, my name is Chloe, and on this gorgeous day up in my cloisters, I am here with my colleagues to show you our plan for an exhibit on colonization in India. Focusing on the time period of the 16th century up to the late 19th century, we want to illustrate how colonial rule infiltrating India affected their culture through visual art. Let me give you a brief introduction into what our exhibit entails. The question that our curators tried to answer with this exhibit was how art from India illustrated westernization of their native culture. So, the aim of this exhibit is to show how colonization can rewrite the history of a nation. The winners in history are the ones who write the history, and European countries were the victors of wars and the dominators of smaller countries, which is why they are what one thinks about when picturing medieval times. When visiting the cloisters, it is evident that there is a heavy European influence on the museum. And yes, while European countries are usually the main focus of medieval times, the countries they colonize are overlooked. In India, even from early medieval times, Western practices influenced their society, such as with the social structure of feudalism. When the Portuguese invaded India and colonized it in the early 16th century, Christian values became deeply ingrained within Indian society. Many Indian Christian artists are found during this time, creating statues of Mary or paintings of biblical stories. In the early 17th century, Britain took power in India, and their rule would last all the way into the mid-20th century. Britain had a massive influence on India, and the power dynamics between the colonizers and the colonized became abundantly clear. Indian society started to fuse more and more with Western ideals as the British took away their individuality and identity with occupation. When the British first arrived in India, they met Indian cultural traditions with fascination and a sense of appreciation. This did not last very long, however. As the British shipped out all of their traditional artwork and artifacts of this culturally rich area, the identity of India was squeezed out by colonial rule. One can still see today the imperial colonial influence on Indian architecture and visual art in India today. With this historical framing in mind, look at how colonization can rewrite the history of a nation and steal its right to autonomous identity. It's time that influential museums such as the Met take the time to appreciate what the West stole from the places that they colonized, and it's time that the people of India have their history told. We hope you enjoy this unique and important story.